Okay, so one of my very favorite things about March in Maine is maple syrup. So we have a sweet treat for you today. I am out at, I know, the humor, Backwoods Sugar House. This is my friend Josh. Josh was kind enough to let me in and let us in to get a little behind the scenes peek as to how maple syrup is made. Will you kind of take us through some of the process? And we're actually going to go out and see some of the trees that you've tapped. How many trees are drawing syrup for you?
So the place we're going to go to, there's actually just under 800 at that one spot.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, tell us a little more about you. How did you get into this, and how long have you been doing this?
My grandparents used to tap a few trees and hang the milk jugs on the tree, and then my grandfather and I and my brother, we would go out and collect the milk jugs, bring it back in, and my grandmother would cook it down on an old cook stove in the house, so like a wood-fired cook stove kind of thing, and that's how it all kind of started. And I just remember taking forever. It was like days, to make just like a quarter a pint of syrup. And as I got older, you start to forget about things like that. And when I finally built my house here, another friend of mine down the road was making syrup, and I went over and hung out with him, and I did a little bit with him, and another friend of mine, him and I worked together a little bit, and then I decided I wanted to give it a go for myself, and I built my first sugar house. It was out behind my house in my back field, and it kind of started taking off, but I wanted to be able to have people see me from the road, so I took the building apart, brought it over here, and I bought a new evaporator, and it was a wood-fired machine, and kept slowly progressing, and we got this machine last year, and a bigger reverse osmosis machine, and I'll show you guys how that all works here in a second. But it's just been baby steps, I guess. We've been going since 2011 or 12, right in that area. I've been moving really slow as in the growing process, so we're kind of we're getting there now. So
how cool is that this all started with your grandmother?
Yeah. It is kind of neat. I'm sure they'd probably think I'm crazy if they saw what I'm doing now, but it's fun.
And now your family's involved, so now a whole nother generation.
Yep.
Really
So our son and our daughter, they both come out here and work, when they're available. My fiance Shelly is the backbone of this business. I wouldn't be able to do everything that I do without her. So, solely it's just her and I all the time, and it's mostly me making the syrup and doing everything in the woods and trucking sap and everything. She still works a full-time job, so she does all of our confections, and she kind of runs the business side. We try to add a couple new things every year. A couple years ago we started doing barrel-aged syrup, which we take our darker syrup and we age it in a used bourbon barrel. And so it takes on the flavor of bourbon, the oak, the char, kind of gives it a vanilla note. And that's been a huge hit for us. This year we are adding in cinnamon infused syrup and vanilla bean infused syrup. I believe last year we added in maple barbecue rub, and a few other things. So
that sounds really good.
It's really good. I put it on everything: burgers, chicken, turkey, everything.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, let's see how it's done, and let's go. How far are the trees that you tap from the sugar house?
It's about I'd say 12 to 15 minutes drive, but we're
going out.
Near the intersection.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. Thanks for hanging out with us.
All of our holding tanks. These are just old dairy tanks, insulated from milk. And there's actually about 750 gallons of sap in this one right now. And this one over here would be our concentrate tank, which is the concentrate that comes out of the reverse osmosis.
Wow, can I look
Absolutely.
at that without messing anything up?
Oh yeah.
You don't want me
just don't drop your phone in there.
Don't drop the phone. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. You can see it. Wow.
We try to keep it as cold as possible. We try to keep it down around 40 degrees, but obviously when the weather gets up there, the temperature goes up. It's kind of hard to keep everything at a steady level. But so the sap would leave out of here, run through a pipe, and it'll go inside into what we call the reverse osmosis room. And this is the reverse osmosis. This is what I consider the workhorse of the sugar house, because without this machine, the evaporator would have to run a lot more. So this right here saves fuel, it saves labor, time, everything. So what it's doing is it's bringing the sap in from that tank and it's putting it through a membrane in here under a very high pressure, around 475 to 485 psi. And it's actually squeezing the sugars out of the sap. So it's separating the water and the sap. So I can take it from 2% sugar in the sap up to, in one pass, I can go up to about 10% or a little bit above that. And if I wanted to make a different pass or another pass on it, I can get it up to about 16%. So when you're cooking on raw sap, it takes 40 gallons to make 1 gallon of syrup. So after it's been processed through this machine, it's down in the single digits.
Wow.
Gallons of sap per syrup. So from there, the concentrated sap will go out this line.
Okay.
And the permeated water, the water that it's removed out of the sap, goes out this line and goes into another tank, and we save all that permeated water to clean the machine. We clean the evaporator, we back flush all the pipe, all the plumbing, everything. Plus we use the permeated water in here to hose down the floor. It doesn't leave any stains, leaves no watermarks, there's nothing left in it. So it's just wet. So
wow.
It's a good cleaner for the pans on the evaporator. You get a lot of mineral deposits on the bottom of the pans while you're cooking. So it'll actually take off the mineral deposits, and it's just a good all-around cleaner.
Got it. Okay.
So from there, what we'll do is it goes out into another tank outside, and then when we're ready to cook, I can turn a switch on over there that turns on a pump inside here, and it pumps the sap up here into this tank. And that's a 130-gallon tank, and that's what actually feeds the evaporator. Now, this machine is a continuous feed evaporator, so the whole time it's running, it's constantly pulling sap in and drawing syrup out of it. This machine, once it gets up and rolling, after about 15 or 20 minutes, it'll have a constant feed of syrup coming out of it the whole time you're running. So, like I said, 15 to 18 gallons of syrup an hour, depending on how high I've brought the concentrate up to. So these are what we call float boxes. So as the level in this back pan drops down, there's a float in here that goes down, opens up a valve and allows more sap in. There's a preheater inside in the top of this hood that preheats the sap coming in. It'll take it up to about 190 degrees before it even enters into the pan. So this back pan right here actually regulates the depth in the back pan. And then this float box regulates how deep I run my front pans, and everything is adjustable by turning a knob. So as it starts to cook, it pushes itself forward, comes into this front pan, travels around, comes through, comes out here, goes around, goes into the front, around that channel and up to here. And this is what they call a auto draw or a modulating draw off. And done syrup is always around 7.5 degrees above the boiling point of water. So I know what my elevation is here. I check barometric pressure for that day and do some quick math, and I can figure out pretty close to what syrup will be done at that day, and I can adjust how I have, what temperature I have the syrup come off at. So just by adjusting buttons here, and once it reaches that temperature, this valve will automatically open and allow the syrup to start coming out. And then I'll just take this test cup, I'll fill it up, set my hydrometer into it, and when it floats at that red line, I know it's done.
Wow.
If it sinks down too far, I bring the temperature up. If it's up too high, I drop the temperature down.
There's such a science to this.
It sounds like a lot, but it's actually very simple once you get going. As a hobbyist, it's very simple to do at home. people, I guess, like me, have it makes it look more difficult than it really is. It's just a bunch of different equipment and more equipment than what you really need, but it just makes the process easier and quicker.
Well, a far cry from the way your grandmother used to do it.
Yeah, we
Right.
cooked in a stainless steel stock pot on a stove.
Yeah. So where does it go to get bottled?
So once it goes off into here, we'll run it through this right here. This is what we call a filter press. And there's papers that go in between each one of these plates. And these papers get squished in between here. And then we add in diatomaceous earth, which is a all-natural filtering agent, basically. We'll dump that into the syrup, we mix it in, and we'll turn this pump on, and we'll pump the syrup out of that tank, and it runs through here, and it'll take all the impurities out of the syrup. So the papers grab a hold of all the earth, or the DE, or we call it filter aid. The papers grab all the filter aid, and then the filter aid grabs all the impurities in the syrup. So when the syrup comes back out of this machine, it's crystal clear, and there's no hanging deposits, no hanging mineral deposits, or nothing in the syrup.
Wow,
It's nice and
look at
crystal
that.
clear.
That is beautiful.
So I keep a sample of every single day that we boil, and as you can see, every day is a little bit different in color.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
Sometimes it's really dark, sometimes it's lighter. Like I said, every day is a little different. We just get what we get. We can't adjust something to make a lighter syrup or to make it darker. We get what we get.
Do the flavors vary significantly?
Yes, they do.
Day to day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The darker it is, the more robust maple flavor you're gonna get, and then the lighter the color,
Right.
you're gonna have a more delicate, lighter, and it tastes sweeter. But the sugar percentage is always the same.
Right.
It's all in how long it's boiled, and the longer you cook the syrup, the darker it will be. But there's a lot more science to it than just that. Bacteria growth in the sap from sitting too long will make a darker syrup versus like if we had all of our sap coming directly into the sugar house, we could cook it as it was coming in. We would make a lot lighter syrup, but we truck in all of our sap, so it just gives more time for some bacteria to build up, and so we always we usually start out at an amber syrup, amber rich, which is a medium color, and we usually go to dark, and by the tail end of the season, we're making very dark.
Cool.
Yeah. So from there, it'll go over here into the bottling units. And this is where we'll bottle right here. We'll just pump it in as we need it, and we'll just sit here and bottle each one by one. We need a bigger bottling unit.
Yeah, let's go see some of the bottles.
This right here is our bourbon barrel.
Oh, look at that.
So these are all full right now. As you can see, they're starting to leak.
Yeah.
The syrup actually draws the moisture out of the oak, so the staves begin to open up, and the syrup will actually start to leak out. So we hose them down with water. We try to at least once a week during the summer. This time of year isn't so critical, but those are all pretty much ready to go. We're probably going to pop them next week and start taste testing
Yum.
to make sure they're good to go.
If you need a volunteer.
Well, we got some samples. So this
at
is
this.
some of our done bourbon barrel syrup. We put it in as an amber rich or a dark syrup normally, and it actually gains color just from being in the barrel because it's all char in there, so it darkens the syrup a little bit. We usually do a couple 100 gallons a year of just bourbon syrup.
That's got to be a big seller for you.
It's huge. It really is. The maple rub I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
This is something that Shelly has come up with there in the house. She's a chef by trade, so she doesn't work in the food industry anymore, but she likes to dabble around with different ideas, and she comes up with some wild stuff. So
Sounds like the two of you are a good match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And look at this.
yeah, so
Wow.
it goes right from the evaporator through the filter press and then right into jugs. We do everything from bulk syrup right down to little
Wait, dog treats.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's awesome.
maple pumpkin dog treats.
And then some little bitties.
Yeah, or little
all
nut
sorts of
balls.
sizes.
Yep.
All of this. Oh my gosh.
We do.
And this will be full
Yes.
when you have people visiting.
We're going to start bottling all of our syrup next week. We try to make it so everything on the shelf is as fresh as possible.
Let's go out to the trees.
Yeah, let's
see
go
where
for
it
that.
really all begins.
All right. Let's
Okay,
do it.
thanks.
So this is one of our pump houses here in Newburgh, and the sap's coming in from up on the ridge. It's coming into these pipes. It's going into this extractor right here that's under vacuum from a vacuum pump inside of a box over here.
Yeah.
So as soon as this level hits right about that black line, this pump's going to turn on automatically and pump it right into this tank. And oh, there it goes.
Whoa! Good timing.
Almost 500 gallons in here right now. We'll be taking this back and we'll cook this tonight along with what we have at the house. So we should have about 1,500, 1,800 gallons to do tonight.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's coming like
That's right out of the tree.
right out of the tree. That's
Right out
what it
of the
looks
tree.
like coming right out of the tree.
Yep. There's about 800 taps up here on this ridge, and it's all coming down under vacuum into this pump house.
So is that sort of a filter?
Yeah, it's just catching any debris that's in the pipes,
Yeah.
wood chips, whatnot. So if you look in there now, you'll see it coming out of the pipe in the top. You actually see it flowing right in.
Oh yeah. So Josh and I are in the woods now. This is amazing. Like, we're now checking out all of the trees that have been tapped, and this whole system you have in place to collect the sap. Then it flows down to the first house.
Yep.
We just checked out.
Yep.
And then eventually it ends up on your pancakes. But and we'll take you around here because this is. Tell us what's happening and how many miles. What would you call this?
So this is what we call Mainline.
Okay.
So this is what the Mainline picks up all of the lateral lines that go from tree to tree into a main line, and the main line runs down the hill to a conductor line. And the conductor line is the big line that takes it into the pump house. So each one, there's 5 or 6 of these main lines in here. Each one is about, the shortest one is 1,050 feet, I think. So there's over 6,000 feet of just mainline pipe in here, and I don't even know how many 500-foot rolls of 5/16 lateral line there is in here.
Right, you can see that.
There's probably, if I had to guess, probably somewhere around 50 or 60, maybe 75 rolls of pipe in here of just the 5/16. So every spring we come in here, or late winter, and each one of the tree taps that goes into the tree has to get snipped off. A new one gets installed, and I'll go through this whole system, change all the taps, and then when we get ready to tap, I'll come back through, I drill a new hole and put the tap in the tree. And then once it warms up to the point where the sap will start to run, I come back through and I have to check for vacuum leaks. Squirrel chews, deer will chew on the lines.
Oh wow.
So any critter in the woods, they just like to chew.
Yeah.
So we try to keep this as the highest vacuum as possible. I think today when we were just in the pump house, I think we were at 28 inches of vacuum. Absolute vacuum at sea level is 29.9. So we're almost at max vacuum. And there's, miles and miles of tubing in here. So to keep this whole system at that high of vacuum is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm in here every day walking. I walk an average of 4 to 5 miles a day.
Wow. Wow.
Not just this location, but the other 2 that we have as well. So
Yeah. So you can, that was my question. You can keep this up all year?
yeah, this stays
And
up
then-
all year.
And then you just check it, but you retap the trees
Yep.
in a different location every season,
Yep.
and just inspect it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can see the sap running, right?
Yep. Yeah. So when these bubbles right here are moving really slow, that means there's no leaks.
Ah.
So when the tree emits the sap out of it, it's also letting out a gas. So that's what these vacancies of fluid is. That's gas inside of the tube that's come out of the tree. So that's why you need to use a big line, because you need to be able to carry the fluid and all the gases out of the tree at the same time, but still have enough room in there for vacuum.
Now let's see where you tap the tree.
Yep, so this right here.
Oh, look at that.
Right here, and you can see this is the sap coming right out of the tree. You can see it flowing through there.
Thank you, tree.
So next year, this spring when we're all done for the season, we'll pop this out. And then next year, this will get snipped off. This tap right here will be thrown away, and a new one will be put on, and we'll go to the opposite side of the tree at a higher point or a lower point than this right here. So what you don't want to do is keep tapping in the same area all the way around the tree, because it's what they call it girdling, and the cambium of the tree will start to have wounded wood basically, and it will slow the flow of sap going up to your tap. So you want to change location as far as you can every year. And we change these green lateral line, or these drop lines, we change these every 3 years just for bacteria purposes. And a lot of the tubing in here will get changed out over the next 2 years.
Let's take a walkabout.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, look, you can really see it with the sun hitting it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
You can just see it traveling right through. Honestly, I feel so fortunate to get to witness this.
It really is neat. The concept of what we're doing, people think, yeah, it's just syrup, but you really stop and think about what we're doing. We're taking a fluid that a tree produced and we're turning it into food. You know, it's not hard to do, and it's safe. It's very hard to make bad syrup. You know, it's a very safe thing to make.
Now, is that normal kind of flow?
It's actually flowing very good today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming in really good. This is probably the best run we've had all year.
Just for us.
I know, right?
It was like, hey, we got to show off. We're gonna be in a video.
It's been so warm for the past few days, and we haven't had a freeze. And last night we had a hard freeze, and then this sun. If the wind would slow down a little bit, that would help even more. So
that is awesome.
The trees are they're really fragile, actually, when it comes to wind and cold. As soon as the wind starts to blow, they'll actually start slowing down on the yield. It's just,
we're watching something. It's just,
you're watching it happen right
live in front of our eyes, and nature, and it's just, I can see how you could get hooked on this.
Yeah,
Josh.
Every day is a new challenge, and you're always trying to better the system in one way or another, whether it's you want to add in more taps, or you want to tighten the system up a little bit better to get higher vacuum, or just go for a walk just to make sure everything's good. Every day's a new adventure.
Wow. That's a little low. You're awesome. Thank you so much. This was
you're welcome.
Such a treat and a gift, and I learned so much, and I hope you enjoyed what you just saw. Thank you, Josh. So if you want to know more about Back Ridge Sugar House, where can people learn more about you?
So we do have a page on Facebook, Back Ridge Sugar House. You can email us. You can stop down and see us. Normally, if there's a vehicle sitting there and the lights are on, we're in there. If you see steam coming out the roof, by all means, feel free to stop in and hang out with us and make some syrup. But we are working on a website, still kind of in the works. So we're just trying to do it the right way the first time, so we don't have to go back.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
But no, for right now, it's just Facebook, Messenger on Facebook, and through email.
That's how I got you.
BackRidgeSugarHouse at gmail.com.
Perfect. And then let's talk about the big weekend coming up. March, what weekend is it? March 23rd?
23rd and 24th.
Thank you. March 23rd and 24th. And you're going to be open to the public?
We are open to the public 9 to 4 both days. Raffles, tours, basically the same thing that we just did with you, and make some syrup and
bring the kids. It's such a family event.
Fun.
It's such a fun family event. And Maine there's an organization, an association in Maine
Maple Producers. Yep.
And they have a website.
They do.
And the website has all of the sugar houses across the state that will be open.
Yes,
that
anybody
weekend.
who's participating and is a member of the Maine Maple Producers Association are on a map.
Okay.
So it just has thumbtacks on the map, and you click on the thumbtack, it'll tell you the address and the name of the place.
Okay. Cool.
Get you right there.
Cool. This is great. You're awesome. Thank
you
you so much.
Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Talk to you later. Bye.